Can you share the initial seed of how all of this came about?
At that time, doing a cartoon series was very expensive, and when you focus your time developing a cartoon, you don't have time to do the jobs that pay. We got mentored by, one of them was the creator of Bobo Boy and Makamoto. One of them was Tao Films. They did Life of Pi. They did the VFX for Life of Pi. We think this IP has legs, but you guys are only seeing this as a TV show. You're not seeing this as an IP. MDEC took us to South Korea, where we spent a week in a hotel with broadcasters from all around the world. So Disney was there, Cartoon Network was there, Netflix, BBC.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to V On Air's podcast series, The Whole Story. My name is Natalie Chai, and through this podcast, we're looking to speak to Malaysians of impact and listen to their side of the story. If you're tuning in from rwgenting.com's website, welcome. And if you're strolling around Resorts World Genting while listening to this, we hope you share some good vibes with us on our social media at Resorts World Genting. Today, on The Whole Story, we're joined by Hendra Wardi, the managing director of Bawah Tanah Sendirian Berhad. He started his career as a producer at ATV, with shows like Quickie, Malaysian Idol, and One in a Million, and then opened his own company, Space Boy Studios, where his short films entered Sundance. And in this episode, we're going to talk about his newest venture, Kisah Bawah Tanah, an animated horror comedy series featuring Southeast Asian folklore. It first gained traction in 2018, winning MDEC's Intellectual Property Creators Challenge, and he's been developing the IP ever since. And in 2024, Animasia Studios funded the project, and they began developing Season 1 with Comet Productions coming on board to boost the IP. Here to talk about the show, we have Hendra.
Hello, hi. Thanks for inviting me on the show.
Hi, Hendra. I hope that that introduction did you justice.
Yeah, I think it's a lot.
A lot to take in, but
a lot to take in.
That's the amount of work you've put yourself through.
Also made me feel a bit old because of all the
old names, eh?
all the old names.
No, because you've actually come a long way. So maybe, Hendra, could you share with us your journey, your early career as a producer, and maybe some of us don't know what a producer really does. So you want to walk us through that from the beginning?
All right. So basically, after graduating from college, I got a very 3-month job offer from Media Prima, which was to do editing for ATV. And at that time, I knew that my lifespan there was only 3 months. But I think due to my luck, or maybe Channel V was opening at that time. So a lot of the ATV guys jumped over to Channel V, and that created a gap in ATV, and they gave me a permanent position there. And then, but with that permanent position, I had to learn producing, directing, doing live shows.
Because there were also very little help.
Yes. So it's, at that time, a lot of work for basic pay, but it was fun because we're doing new things every day. We're meeting new people, and at that time when ATV first launched, we were the new kid on the block. So everything that we did was very, very cool compared to the other stations at that time, which were a bit more conventional. Yeah, so we were. Even though the pay wasn't that great, but the whole experience, I think, shaped my industry, my profession, and the way I see my work in the future.
I can attest to that. When I was younger, when ATV first came up, I thought it was the coolest channel ever, with all the new, I think, approach to making content. I think that's what made me feel like the channel was very different.
Yes.
But you produced all these amazing shows. Could you just walk us through, what do you do as a producer?
I guess the term producer also means you do everything, basically coordinating, making sure the hosts come on time, the talent come on time, the script is ready. If it's a client sponsored TV show or a clip, the client has to be happy, and basically, end of the day, we have to entertain the audience. So End of the day, we had to make the call and say, okay, this is how we want to do the show, and this is how we want to entertain the audience. And this is time before YouTube and before social media. So our KPI was our ratings and the amount of brand sponsors that come in. So last time we don't have the views. Cannot see the view counter. We cannot see how many people like your post. It says that how recognizable were you when you went on road shows, and not you, I'm the show, our hosts, how recognizable they were, and whether they can bring in brand sponsors at the time. So it was doing entertainment, but also balancing to make sure the show made money. Yeah.
Wow, it's really A to Z. You got to make sure the show runs well, and also the after work of that, because you need to make sure that the promotion runs well too.
Yes.
And it all depends on how the show goes.
Yes.
So, as a fan of all these shows that I've just mentioned, we have Malaysian Idol, One in a Million. I was a fan of these shows as a kid. So, do you have any behind-the-scenes stories to share when it came to making these shows?
I think my favorite show while I was in ATV, there was this show called Field Trip USA.
Oh.
Yeah, so it wasn't the more popular franchise shows, because that one we had a production Bible to follow. We had to abide by the rules set by the franchises of the IP. But with Field Trip USA, it was the first time we got to create a brand new show, and we can set the content, we can set the rules, and basically Field Trip USA was sponsored by the US Embassy. So at that time, there was a bit of how would I say that? A bit of fear from parents in Malaysia sending their kids to study in the US because of 9/11. They felt there was a bit of bias against Muslim kids, and also kids that came from Muslim countries. So the US Embassy sponsored us for 2 seasons, for 2 months, to travel to every state in the US and spend a few days in the state and go to school and follow the lives of all the Malaysian students that were sent there, to show that they're having fun, they're not getting bullied. It's fun it's educational. There's no prejudice to students from Malaysia, and then through that, of course, the show was showing how life was in the US. We took the students to the Statue of Liberty, to the museums, but also what life was at home. Yeah. So how do Muslim kids adapt to the halal situation there? So every episode focused on a different angle.
And
so,
that's what you liked about the show.
Yeah, the show actually won I think 2 awards at the Shout Awards back then.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And for some, from what we hear, some public schools in the US are using that series to also educate their children there, their students there, on how does someone from outside America views the country and their school. Yeah.
Okay. Wow, that seems like a long... And you have to travel the whole time for this series.
Yes. One season we traveled to 13 states in a month. So we went...
A lot of...
yeah.
So what the audience doesn't see is just a lot of hard work and a lot of traveling.
Yes.
Everybody was probably tired from
Yep.
everything, but you guys won an award.
Yep.
But I got to know, what I really want to ask you is that, shows that we all learn to love, Malaysian Idol, One in a Million. Is there a part where, some of the contestants forgot to wake up for the show, or main producers didn't turn up for the show, or a big boo-boo that you remember?
So last time we did a show called Latte at 8.
Okay.
It was a talk show, and I think one of our guests, they were stuck in traffic and they couldn't reach the set on time, because at that time we did the show at Sunway Pyramid.
Okay.
The Starbucks was there. So we just got one of our producers to become the guest on the show.
And it went well?
It went well.
Oh,
And
nice.
he eventually, from there, I think he gained a bit of confidence, and he's started doing MC work and started doing small TV hostings.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
perfect.
So we adapted to the situation. But there was no way he's going to go through the LDP at that time on
Right.
the rush hour.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's how sometimes you get to go from
Yeah.
a producer
Yeah.
to sometimes in front of the camera
Yeah.
when life gives you lemons,
Yeah.
literally, right?
So for the audience at home, they don't see the panic that the producers go through right before the show goes on air.
Because you got to assign someone to be in front of the camera.
Yeah.
So that's literally stress behind the camera that a lot of us don't see.
Yeah.
You know, the particular era of must-watch Malaysian TV shows, I would say it's like currently a thing of the past now, in my opinion. Do you agree with the statement?
I guess not really, because there are some local content that no matter where you go, you'll hear about it in some way or form. So at this time, I think you either try to learn as much as you can or as little as you can, so you're not left out in the conversation. But of course, you're right. It's not like last time where, for instance, there was like last time, for example, Malaysian Idol. Everyone, even though you didn't watch the show, you knew who the winner was. Yeah, but it may be a bit harder now, but I think with TikTok clips and Instagram reels, you kind of know like who are the upcoming actors and celebrities.
You still
and shows.
keep
Yeah.
in touch with the latest news.
Yeah, you get a bit, but the social media world, digital world, is so diluted now that you really need to look into what you want to find. Yeah.
Then, as a producer who was with ATV at its peak, what do you think is some things that the producers now on the current TV shows or whatever that they're making, they can learn from what you did back then? Something that you want to make sure continues all the way through to today when it comes to producing a show.
So for me, the most important thing of doing content is always the story. So back then we had the luxury of a half an hour show and 1 hour show that we had that time to tell stories and build up the content, build up the characters. But I also feel today's world, no one has the patience anymore.
Short
They want to
attention
see
span.
microdramas. They want to see. I think above 3 minutes on content, they get bored. So even though I feel that even though your content is shorter now, it's 2 minutes, 3 minutes, there's still room to tell a story in that. It's just how you tell that story. Yeah, because you can easily get lost in just random clips, of funny pranks on social media. But when you tell that story, you can tell a story in 3 minutes, then you can build back your audience, which I think that's what the microdramas are doing. Even though it's a bit templated at the moment, but they have somewhat of a story right now to tell. Yeah.
They
So
have a template that
they have a
hooks you
template.
in still.
Yeah, storytelling is important, no matter
Storytelling.
how much time you're given.
So focus on the storytelling is what you would tell the producers now.
Yeah.
All right. So when it comes to storytelling, I feel like I want to hear your story, and what best to represent your story if not with 3 personal items of yours, right? Okay. So this is what we do for every guest that comes on the show. So you brought your 3 items?
Yes, I did. This item number 1. This is actually my library card from high school. 1996, 30 years ago. So, why this is important to me is because at that time this was the place I spent most in school. Because this library, this school is in Singapore, international school in Singapore. But what I like about this library is they have a complete collection of all comics in the library. So you had all the Calvin and Hobbes, you had Mad Magazine. Yeah, so of course they had novels and all that, but they had a comic and magazine section. So
Archie.
Archie, everything is there. So I think that's where I developed my interest for comics, for pop culture. But also, this school also has a bit of special meaning because back then, we had to choose ECAs, right? So we had to choose 2. One had to be sport, and the other can be anything else, or it couldn't be another sport. So I don't really like sports, so I had to choose one sport. The other one, they had a club called Cartoon Club. Yeah, so for Cartoon Club, it happened every Wednesday after school. And because at that time in Singapore, The Simpsons was airing every Tuesday night. So what the teacher would say is he'll record the Simpsons episode on the VHS the night before, and then he'll play it, 20 minutes episode, and then we spend 40 minutes analyzing why, and this is as Form 2 at the time, Form 1, Form 2, why the story writers wrote the story this way, why the characters were designed this way, what was the purpose of this character. So everyone had to give their analysis on cartoons. So when The Simpsons was not on air, because they have season breaks, then he'll bring in like Toy Story, or he'll bring in other cartoons, and like, so you just spend an hour every week analyzing cartoons and more of the structure of telling a story. So I think that's when my interest in cartoons picked up, and where I was exposed to a lot of cartoons at that time. Yeah.
And you were also taught to analyze these cartoons because you actually gave time to slowly digest everything, and you could have a discussion amongst your peers to talk about a certain show.
Yeah.
Right, and that happens for about 40 minutes.
An hour, so 20 minutes watching the show, the episode, and then 40 minutes of discussion. So, and the more important part at that time was it was in aircon. So I didn't have to be in the field playing football.
Right. Because that's your ECA.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
So this club has been shut down a couple of years ago.
And you found out?
Yeah, I mean, they told me, because they still keep in touch, the alumni team. But they have been following the progress of Kisah Bawah Tanah closely. So they updated the school alumni, and I said if this show takes off, does well, maybe you should reconsider reopening back the Cartoon Club, because it may be many, many years later, but at least this is where the interest on doing cartoons came from. Yeah, that's where it came from.
Well, you should be the president of this club, starting it again. You are the perfect alumni to show that how small things like they can spark interest for a career.
Yeah. So the ECAs do matter in your interests. Yeah.
It's not just a random interest, not a random thing.
Not just the academics also.
Okay. That's your first item. What about your second item of choice?
It's this diecast of a Hong Kong taxi. So this is always my memory of my childhood, because I grew up in Hong Kong.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I did my primary school and my kindergarten all in Hong Kong. So
can you speak Cantonese?
I used to be able to, but I can still listen.
You can understand it still somewhat.
I can still understand. And at that time, all the content I consumed was in Cantonese.
Oh.
So the bad words were easier to pick up. So,
for sure, as any other language.
So yeah, so my memories of watching cartoon there, like Doraemon and Dragon Ball, Yu Yu Hakusho, that was all in Cantonese. So my nostalgia with them was never the Japanese voice; it was always the Cantonese voice.
You watched those animations with a Cantonese voice.
Oh yeah, the Cantonese dub.
Cantonese dubbed shows. Wow. Yeah. Okay.
So Hong Kong always has a special place in my heart. I lived there for 7-8 years. So when I go there with friends now, they always complain, Hong Kong is so tight, it's so so congested. We have to share tables when we go to the restaurants. But to me, I'm like, this is
You're
fine.
just used to it. This is like just what I lived with. Yeah. That I grew up like this. So to you, it's not even like a problem, right?
So I always have this on my work desk. What better to represent Hong Kong than the taxi?
A nice reminder. And they still exist, which is so nice. I was just telling them how in Malaysia, taxis don't really exist. Like, you don't get to flag down cabs here anymore.
Yeah.
They just function as Grab.
Yes.
Grab cars, yeah. Okay, so Hong Kong, your ECA, extracurricular activities. That's Hong Kong for you. And what's your third one?
Oh, okay. My third one is a Nintendo Switch 2. Mm-hmm. This is more of a symbolism, because I used to be a gamer. I mean, I'm still a gamer. Actually, this Switch is loaded with a lot of games, all the Marios, all the Zeldas, but I never had the time to play them. So I bring it around in my bag everywhere, uh, with the idea that if I just have 10 minutes, I have just 15 minutes, I can play something. But actually, since I've been working on Kisah Bawah Tanah, time is money. So I use that 15 minutes to send out an email or to touch up a script. So this is just to remind myself that, one day when the show stabilizes and goes on air, then I'll have that time to play and it's there.
But you still bring it with you every day.
Yeah, just have it in my bag,
It's
just in case.
the luxury of just being able to do it anytime you want. But currently being spent on Kisah Bawah Tanah.
Yeah, it's actually only been, I had it since June, but it's only been on for an hour. Since then, I've used for an hour.
No way! But when you bought it, you really thought that you would have a lot of time to play with it.
When I bought it back then, we didn't have the broadcaster yet. We didn't know if anyone wanted the show. So,
Right.
But yeah, it's a good problem to have.
Okay, Hendra, back to the questions. Let's talk about Kisah Bawah Tanah. I see you have your T-shirt on already. Can you share the initial seed of how all of this came about?
Okay, so Kisah Bawah Tanah started off in around 2015, 2016. That me and my partner wanted to do a cartoon series. But at that time, doing a cartoon series was very expensive. And when you focus your time developing a cartoon, you don't have time to do the jobs that pay, the client jobs, the TV production. So it's always just banter that me and my partner had. So, when we have time, we should do this. This can be a story. But we never went into fruition. We're just talking. And then 2018, we just had one of our usual banters about this IP. At the time, it wasn't an IP yet. It was just ideas on what kind of cartoon we want to do. And then a mutual friend of ours was listening, and she said, "Hey, you guys, this idea sounds pretty good. You should just go to MDEC and pitch it." But we were hesitant because we're like, "Oh, we're not animators, we're not artists." At that point, it was just two guys with an idea. They want to do a comedy featuring all the folklore in Southeast Asia. So she said, but our friend said, doesn't matter. If your idea is good, someone will invest into it, and then you can form your team. So at that time, MDEC was doing a competition that opened up to all Malaysians that say, if you have a good idea, come here and pitch. And if you win the pitch, we will assign 5 mentors from the industry, from the animation industry, to help you develop your idea into something that you can take the broadcasters to pitch. So we went there, we pitched. We didn't think we would win because at that time the mindset was animation was for children only. But we pitched that this one should be targeting 13 and above because this is the niche market. And we didn't specifically wanted to target the teenage market, but it's not in our soul to do preschool content or kids content. So we wanted to do something a bit older, and we won the competition. We got mentored by 5 captains of the animation industry. One of them was the creator of Bobo Boy and Mekamoto, Nizam Razak. He was the one of us a mentor, and then there were 4 others. Some from the broadcasters and some from one of them was Tau Films. They did Life of Pi. They did the VFX for Life of Pi. Mr. Mandip.
Right.
So they helped shape this IP into something that we can go to someone like Netflix or Cartoon Network and pitch to them. So after the whole process was done, we finished our pitch. We started talking to the broadcasters here in Singapore. But at that time, I think um, it was a bit of a risk because no one has done content for teenagers, animated content for teenagers. Uh, but when there were many times we wanted to just give up and let's move on back to our live action. So 2 months before the pandemic, MDEC took us to Korea, South Korea, where we spent a week in a hotel with broadcasters from all around the world. So Disney was there, Cartoon Network was there, Netflix, BBC, and then they gave us input on how to make our IP more global. Because right now, what we had at that moment was very localized. So it wouldn't go further than Malaysia. And at that point in time, it was just the two of us, so most of the jokes were very inside jokes. That it was only funny to me, me and my partner, but it wasn't funny to a
People
third
watching
party.
it.
Yeah. So they also gave their input, and then the pandemic happened, and because of that, all our live action projects halted. Income stopped coming in, but because we had a bit of interest from the broadcasters, and letter of interest, they said, okay, we want to review this. Should you manage to do a pilot? And we took those letter of interest to MDEC, and they gave us a bit of budget to do a proper production broadcast quality level episode, and thankfully that funding came in 2 weeks after the lockdown, so that sustained us throughout the tightest part of the lockdown where you couldn't go out. So at least that one managed to we managed to pay our bills, do our at least have some salary doing the development. So by the time development was finished, the pilot was done. It looks presentable to broadcasters to say, okay, if you invest more into this IP, the other 25 episodes will have this standard of quality. And that happened in 2022 when the product development was done. So at that time, I used my own funding to go to LA, to France, NSC Film Festival, to MIPCOM, to look for outsiders to invest into doing the show. But because maybe it wasn't the right time or the right place, there was always a lot of missed opportunities. Like we were doing something. We were going through some discussions with Warner Brothers, but then the merger happened, and then it was put on hold. The first merger happened with Discovery, so everything on their end was halted for 6-8 months. We started talking to Disney Plus when they entered Malaysia, and then things internally shuffled with them, so our discussions were stopped. And then, so once again, we're like, okay, maybe this show won't happen. So our last shot was we went to France, in Cannes. We went there as nomads, so we couldn't afford booths, we couldn't afford to have a pavilion there. So we walked around, and it was so strict there that if my laptop battery was done, my phone battery was finished, I couldn't charge at any plug point in the pavilion because this plug point maybe belongs to this company. So I couldn't. The only way I had to go back to the hotel and charge. But by luck, there was a Malaysian company there that opened a booth. So we saw, Malaysian, right? Can borrow your plug point. Because we walk back to the hotel 20 minutes and then come back 20 minutes. We lose 40 minutes of business hours. So we said, okay. Then the company was Animasia. So during the charging of our laptops, our phone, they asked us, what are you guys doing here, and what show are you doing? So we explained, we're here looking for partners to do this. So they kept quiet, they looked, they're like, okay. They didn't say anything. They said, let's talk back in Malaysia. Because why waste time talking to another Malaysian when you use that time to talk to the other foreign partners? You can talk back home. So that was in October 2023. And then it was silent for 2 months. And then we bumped into them again in Singapore, in another content market. Then they saw us, they said, we need a bit more time, but we'll get back to you. So we thought, oh, maybe they were just being polite. They saw us and then, they like a bit segan, oh, we didn't call them back. So okay. But this is, at this point of time, I went through 3 years of this kind of conversation with all the broadcasters. I'm like, okay lah.
It's rinse and repeat situation for you.
So in 2024, a month before Chinese New Year, they called us in. They said, guys, come in. This is what we can do for this IP. We like this IP so much. We think this IP has legs, but you guys are only seeing this as a TV show. You're not seeing this as an IP. There is, you can expand into games, into merchandise, into apparels, into movies, social media, and this is what we can bring in, and this is what we want to invest in. So they said we could let them know in a month or so whether we want to agree or not to be their co-producer and whether we want their investment. So instead of a month, we decided in 2 weeks, let's do it. Because where else? And I feel they were, and with their industry, and we also felt that with their industry background and the 20 years in the industry,
Who else better?
Yeah, the broadcasters will also take our pitch more seriously because now we have a major backer behind us. Yeah, because before that we had no portfolio in the animation industry. Yeah, so we had portfolio in the live action, the film, but not animation. So with their backing, then the broadcasters started thinking us, okay, with these guys, we are confident that, So then we started production. We took about 18-24 months. Yeah, because animation, everything is done frame by frame. So we finished production October last year, and by December 2025, we announced our broadcaster, which is Astro.
Wow.
So this whole journey took from 2018, officially from 2018 to going on air 2026. So about 8 years from idea.
So where and how can we watch it?
So it will be on Astro in early March, and they will make an announcement which channel and what time it is. But I understand we got prime time. They will be airing two days a week, from March to August.
2 days a week.
2 days a week.
I can't wait for this because it's so long in the making for this already. Are you excited?
Very, very excited because we never thought we will reach this stage because we've seen others try. They went through the process and they either stop halfway or they just move on to other projects. But this one I felt I was very persistent to make sure this happened.
Grit. Grit is what brought you here today. And I can't stop looking at his t-shirt because the characters are so fascinating to look at. Every time I look at you talking, I'm looking at another different character on his t-shirt, right? But one thing that I'm also very curious about is why the name Kisah Bawah Tanah?
It was it's actually our working title. But eventually it just stuck.
Yeah, but why? Is it because of the supernatural?
So in this IP, in Kisah Bawah Tanah, we don't see these characters living in the afterlife. They are not spirits of anyone that's died. They are just in a different dimension realm where they have jobs, they pay their rent, but they just happen to look like this. And they are also afraid whether humans are real or not, and they are afraid of humans.
Oh,
so
it's like reverse. How we are afraid of. They're like, oh, humans.
Yeah. So they have. So one episode that we want to do in the future, the Simpsons have a Treehouse of Horror, where they will sit around and tell 3 stories about ghosts.
Yep.
So we want to do something similar in the future, where these guys sit around and tell 3 stories about humans. So it's a reverse situation. Yeah.
So like, in order for you to, write these stories, are there certain research that you need to do to write the characters? You really just creatively think of it?
Okay, so how we design the episodes, how we write the episodes, it's everyone in Malaysia has grown up listening to a ghost story by their grandparents, their parents. They say, don't go to the banana tree, something's there. Don't go out. Don't go to that hotel, or don't knock the door 3 times. So we take all those pantang.
Don't knock the door 3 times.
Yeah, for hotels.
The Chinese have to knock three
sorry,
times.
knock the door 3 times.
Oh,
So
okay.
make sure the
I'm like, oh my God, we've been doing it the reverse way
yeah,
the whole
so
time.
knock the door 3 times so that the thing inside will leave.
Yeah.
Right. So we take all those pantangs and we merge it with the horrors of growing up. So our two main characters called Sam and Zach, they are just fresh out of college and they go to the bandar, the town of Bawah Tanah, and they started working their first job. So, for your first job, you're underpaid. You have a overbearing boss. You work long hours. So reflecting about my time back at my first job, which I mentioned earlier. So we took those references and create the stories. And if you watch the show, it's actually 80% comedy and 20% horror.
Oh,
There's not so much horror. So every character is unique in their own way, but they're not there to scare you. They are just residents in the town,
I see.
and we take their unique personalities or what we know from folklore and
Yeah.
turn that into their character.
But you do then have to do research about the folklore of like different characters
Yes.
and that our grandparents used to talk
Yeah.
to us about.
I
things
think
like
generally most Malaysians, we know the basics of what a Pontianak is. We know the weakness. We know what they look like. We know like a pocong. We know it's hopping, how it's wrapped. So we do some research on making sure we got it right. But when we write the stories, we already have an idea of what kind of characters we want them to be. So bringing back to that point, we actually started releasing merchandise 2 years ago for this, like the T-shirt, some action figures, some plushies, and people were buying them because we go to Level Up, we go to all those pop culture events, and we sell them there. So people were buying the merchandise, not knowing there's a TV show in the making, because these are characters that they knew or they heard of growing up, but reimagined as
Cuter ones.
cuter versions. Yeah.
Hey, I think this show can really change our perspective of how scary these things are, because we grew up so scared of them.
Yeah.
But now you give them a character, a job, like a life. Now it's like, even without watching it, suddenly I feel like, oh, maybe it's not so scary after all.
No, there's nothing scary in the show. Yeah. So I think our goal for Kisah Bawah Tanah is that everyone knows the weakness of how to defeat Dracula, how to defeat the mummy or the werewolf around the world. Everyone knows, but around the world, no one knows what the weakness of a penanggal. They have to reattach by sunlight. If not, they will die. Or like Pontianak, you remove the nail from her neck, then she becomes vicious. But she's more subdued when the nail's in her back. So we want to bring these elements to educate, to actually make it more globally appealing.
I see.
To show the Western market that we have our own unique hantus as well. Yeah. So we also write the stories that you don't have to know the backstories of all these hantus.
Right.
If you want to know more, you can, but they are all written with a global appeal.
Yeah, so like exactly. So it's like inspired by somewhat, like, can I say Rick and Morty?
I guess our biggest inspiration is not Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty, I felt
It's just
too
my
random.
just my impression
Yeah.
of the character. Okay,
Our inspiration, I think, is more Futurama.
Futurama.
Yeah, where there is a group of delivery boys in Futurama going on adventures, different adventures every day.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So that's the global appeal, the inspiration from a global standpoint.
Yep.
But are there certain stories that you feel like when you've written, right, you feel like you've had to edit or like cut just to suit Malaysian audiences again, or is this thoroughly for global audience kind of writing?
I don't think we have written the story to cut, to censor anything.
Okay.
We've always started writing the story with a mind that, okay, this is for Malaysian audience and also for global audience.
Okay.
So we don't go too extreme. We don't how do I say this? We don't push the button too much. At least not for the first season.
You test a little bit of water and see, because you want to educate, but also
Yes.
bring back awareness about all these things. You want to just share the culture as well.
Yes. So on top of learning about all this folklore and pantangs and hantus, we also want to also educate what life in Southeast Asia is like. Yeah. So hopefully it does well.
Yeah, so before we let you go, maybe you can tell your listeners listening to this, why should Malaysians be excited to watch Kisah Bawah Tanah?
So I think Malaysians should be excited to watch Kisah Bawah Tanah is because personally, if I was in the audience, there is local content for preschool, for children, and for adults in Malaysia. There's a lot, but for some reason there is no content in this particular age group of 13 to 18, especially in the animated sphere, right? Because when that age they jump to the animes, Japanese animes, they jump to the Western cartoons, like you said, Rick and Morty. But why isn't there locally made content for this age group? So we always felt that this is always missing in Southeast Asia content, the content market. So we also hope that after we do this, then more producers and content creators start doing slightly more matured content for this age group, which is if we felt they're being left behind. Yeah. So that's why they go to the Western and the animes. Yep.
Right. So Hendra's filled in the gap for you guys. So check that out when it comes out on Astro early March.
Yes.
Correct? All right. Now, just before you go, one last question for all our guests that comes on. Share with us one of your favorite food recommendations from a specific restaurant.
Oh, damn.
It's a random one, I know, but we throw everyone off with this one before you go.
Okay. So one of my favorite go-tos is Tanglin nasi lemak. The sambal is not too spicy. It's a nice balance, and it already tastes good without any meat. So it's on Grab. so it's easy to get.
Accessible.
Yeah, I mean, I guess because in my research using Grab, this one comes the fastest.
That's very important when it comes to food.
This comes the fastest. Like sometimes you have to wait 40 minutes, an hour for a burger, like McDonald's. But for some reason,
That's us today.
yeah, this one can come in 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So by the time, sometimes I'm surprised by how fast Tanglin delivers their food.
Okay. How do you spell that again?
Tanglin, Tanglin.
Oh, Tanglin.
Yeah.
Tanglin nasi lemak.
Yeah, I think it's quite popular among the KL.
Okay, my first time actually hearing it. I'll look it up for sure. All right, to our listeners, this wraps up today's episode with Hendra. Anything else you want to say before we go?
Follow our social media at Kisah Bawah Tanah on all the platforms. If you want to see previews of new episodes or the merchandise that's coming out, and also to support the team.
All
Thank you.
right. Thank you. Thank you for listening to this episode. This was The Whole Story, a new podcast series brought to you by V On Air, Resorts World Genting's first ever online radio. If you like more stories about Malaysians, remember to follow us for more upcoming episodes, or remember our socials at Resorts World Genting. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.